Welcome to the Queens on Decks, where I interview female DJs from around the world. I am Michelle Miller, your host of the Royal Queens Rising podcast. We share our inspiring stories and secrets to our success. Hi, welcome. I'm Michelle Miller, DJ RunDat, the host of the Queens on Deck show, where I interview female DJs from around the world. Today we have Bselecta in the house. Woo! Welcome.
Thank you, girl. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. So let's start by you telling us a little bit about how you got started as a DJ.
So it's a bit of a long story. I'll try and condense it, but essentially I've been in music my whole life. Initially I wanted to be an A&R rep for a major record label. But I was born and raised in a pretty small town in Canada. So DJing was not on my map at all. But I kind of hopped in my little Honda Civic and drove to LA with my dreams. And I learned very quickly that the entertainment industry was really difficult to navigate for this small town Canadian girl. So I was a little bit lost. I didn't know what to do. My whole life I had worked to be an A&R rep, and now I was like, I can't do this. I can't live in this space. Fast forward about 10 years from that, maybe 8 years from that day when I realized that wasn't going to be the way. And I had a 2-year-old daughter. Music was not part of my life. And I felt really lost. And I was sitting outside looking at the stars thinking, certainly I have to do something else. I love being a mother, but there's something else for me. And I mean, it's a bit of a story to how I got there, but that night I thought, what about being a DJ? Because I loved the drums. And I thought, well, it's rhythmic. I love to dance. It's music. And I love the drums. Maybe I'll give it a try. I started researching the history of the DJ, which I loved. And I think I wrote to you about that a little bit. I absolutely loved learning about the history of the art of DJing. It's such an interesting topic. And I called up a friend of mine that I knew was a DJ, and I asked him if he would teach me. And he asked me if I was serious. And I said yes. And on my, I'm going to age myself now, but on my 29th birthday, he brought his turntables over to my garage. And I remember it like it was yesterday. The first track we mixed, he showed me how to mix, was I Just Want to Love You by Jay-Z. And when I got that mix right, it was a wrap. I was in the garage for another 8 hours. I fell absolutely in love with the art of the two turntables and a microphone. And I spent a year practicing. Trying to get my skill set right. And then I got my first gig, and then my second gig, and then it just kind of organically grew from there into probably one of the best things I've ever done in my whole life, especially being a mom. It really gave me that freedom. So it was just the coolest, most awesome blessing I've ever had. So that's kind of how I got started, in a starry night in my backyard.
I love it. Aw, that's so sweet. So how did you come up with your DJ name?
Actually, that same guy that taught me helped me out with it. So all my friends call me B. My name is Brandy, but a lot of people who are close to me call me B. And I wanted something that was me, like me. I didn't want to create a whole other persona. And I love reggae and dancehall music. In Canada, it's pretty huge in Canada. And in doing the research of the history of the DJ, I learned that, back in the 50s in Jamaica, they had these sound system parties, and they called their DJs music selectors because they selected the music. And that's why you hear that rewind selecta. And I loved that. So he was like, well, what about Bselecta? Done.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. Sometimes, I'll be honest, sometimes I wish that I would have went with Selecta RunDat.
Don't change it.
Or Selectress. There's Selectress, I've heard.
There's a lot of Selecta out there, though. I get sometimes I wonder if I've kind of jumped in the pool of many.
Yeah, I actually one of my friends is Selector Prime. So but there's Selector, Selecta, Selectra.
Exactly. I spent a long time trying to say people like it's not DJ Bselecta. Just call me Bselecta. That's DJ and select is the same thing. And then finally I gave up.
I know it got me a little tongue twisted. I don't know why, but
Yeah, it does. It totally does. And then some people just call me DJ B. I don't know.
yeah, right, right. So
It was
so I have
romantic to begin with.
yes, I love that we share the love for dancehall and reggae. So can you remember like the first time you really started getting into it?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
It gives me goosebumps because it was such a prevalent day. I was at a nightclub in Canada, in Calgary, Alberta. So in Canada, you can be 18 at the club. So I was at this club in Calgary, Alberta, and it was massive. And all of a sudden, like they were playing regular music, and then all of a sudden, the DJ put on Traffic Blocking by General Degree. And everybody took a towel out of the back of their pants and they started waving this towel. And I was standing there looking at all these people and they were like, traffic blocking, da da da. And I was like, what is this music? What is this movement? What is going on? And I fell in love. And then I started going to all the underground dance hall clubs. It was none of the fancy stuff. I didn't want it. I put on my tennis shoes, my bandana, because I knew I was going to sweat. And I went to all the underground clubs and just fell in love with dance. And that's when Sean Paul, I mean, I know he's the pop guy, but that's when Sean Paul started releasing like Get Busy and all that other stuff that blew it up to mainstream. But that also opened the doors for me to get immersed into like Buju Banton and Sizzla and like some really grimy dance hall that I love.
Yes, 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 yes. Oh gosh, reggae. I love it. I love it.
Excited.
Yeah, I mean, discovering the reggae club in San Francisco when I was probably 19 or 20 really changed my life. And I clearly remember 1996, the Reggae Gold album, when I was introduced to Lady Saw, who had 3 tracks on that. And I just fell deeply in love with it. And it was such an underground thing back then. Yes, Sean Paul did get it into the more mainstream. People used to call me when they would hear Sasha on the radio. They're playing dancehall on the radio, Michelle. I mean, and it was such an underground culture and community, the reggae family, that I think that was a big part too of falling so deeply in love with it, was like the community that was around it. You know, it wasn't everybody. It was rare. You find someone that loves reggae dancehall too, you automatically had a connection.
Automatically, because it's immersive, right? Like I said, we're not going there to talk to people. We're not going to the dance hall to talk and like mingle. No, we're going there to vibe.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. And I loved all the dudes. They were, no one was, it was all, and they had all these cool dances like the Signal de Plane and all this other things. And I was just so, I still to this day, I miss it because I can't find it in LA as hardcore as it was in Canada, which is shocking to me. But I guess it makes kind of, I don't know. I was shocked initially. I thought it would be bigger here.
Yeah. Have you ever gone to the Delicious Vinyl Sundays? You know about that?
I have heard, of course I've seen it everywhere, but
Yeah.
I will go now if you tell me that that's a part of the situation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well now I know. So once I see that things are happening and safe.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And I went to actually, it's crazy that I've been here this long, but I finally went to my first reggae festival last year before everything shut down. And it just reggae music, dancehall music is just a beautiful thing, man. It's just a beautiful culture and thing. And I love it so much. So I always try and infuse a little bit of that into my sets, because I know that if I was somewhere and someone dropped a Buju Banton track, I would lose my absolute mind. So I always try and do that.
Mm-hmm. He was the first show that I got to attend after becoming a mom. I remember my baby was about 6 weeks old, and he played in Berkeley, California. And I was like, we're going, Grandma. Mama needs some reggae. I mean, to be honest, when I was pregnant with my daughter 14 years ago, we were at Reggae on the River with Sean Paul. He got us in. We rode in with him because we were like, the only way that Mama's going, I was due in about a week or two. And actually, both of my babies were due right around Reggae on the River in August. And I was like, the only way we can go is if we get driven all the way in there. Like, there's no way I'm parking and walking like a mile on the river bar, like ready to pop. And it was such a fun, wild experience. My daughter's dad had made friends with him. So I have a lot of Sean Paul stories. And that's something I really loved about reggae was the artists were very accessible for me because I grew up here in Humboldt County with an all-age venue where Rita Marley played when I was a kid. And so many, the list goes on. And so, it was a venue where the artists are right there. It's very intimate. Yeah. And so with that and Reggae on the River, I got exposed to so much reggae and got to meet the artists. And it really made me just fall even deeper in love because they're like a real human. A lot of them are very humble. I don't have very many stories where they were rude or mean or inappropriate or any of that. It was all respect and one love,
Yeah, that's amazing, girl. Reggae on the River was a bucket list for me. Absolutely. I didn't have your connects, and I had kids when I started. So about 2 years into DJing, I got pregnant with twins, and that kind of stalled me out for a little while too. So it's just never happened for me, but goodness gracious, one day I certainly hope I get to experience Reggae on the River because I've heard it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm staying hopeful we'll get it back. And the LA reggae scene, I used to chase reggae up and down California, and they get quite a bit. So I'm hopeful we'll get it back. I mean,
to call you when I was out here trying to find the places to go because I couldn't find anywhere, but I wasn't connected with anyone. I came from Canada.
Yeah.
So, I didn't have that. So I found one tiny club and it was okay, but I don't know what I had in my mind. I felt like if I was coming from a small place, LA is going to just totally expose me to but maybe I needed to come to Northern California.
Yeah, San Francisco, Bay Area's got a good scene too, but I got to experience the club in New York too. I was my one thing I wanted to do when I went to New York for the first time, my husband's from there, was go see Federation Sound, and we did. And it's really cool when you're in the environment where they can really dance, like you were saying, the dance moves. It's so fun. We joke around. I made up my own Jamaican dance called the Weed Whacker, and you just kind of move your body like you're weed whacking. And,
awesome. Oh, girl, post-COVID, we need to go. I'll come wherever you are. Yes. And let's have that moment because I would love that. I would love that. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, we're gonna go clubbing.
The babysitter, and then we're gonna go clubbing.
Exactly. I'll have my daughter watch all the kids.
Perfect. That's perfect. Mine can help by then too, probably.
Yeah. So twins. So 3 kids. Plus DJing, what was maybe one of your bigger challenges as a mom DJ?
That trying to, it's tough because DJing, I mean, I'm going to say it, it's not as easy as people think. You really have to invest time on a daily basis if you really want to be good at it. And I mean, there's many different facets, as you already know, right? You've got your practice time, and then you got your prep time for you practice just your technique, and then prep time, music crates and sorting through crates and adding cues and stuff. You got music discovery time. So understanding the potential of the DJ game and what I could maybe do with it, but then still having tiny little ones that also require the more commitment. I always felt like I was being pulled. If I was going to do good in this, then my kids were going to suffer. If I was going to be a great mom, then my work was going to suffer, and my kids are not going to suffer. So, So then it comes to late nights when everybody's asleep, and this is where I'm going to try and be creative and try and do all the things I need to do for the DJ stuff. But I know that 6 a.m. a baby's going to be crying. So that was the biggest, it still is a struggle of finding a balance where I feel like I'm doing myself justice and giving myself enough time with the craft that I love, but also being a present and active parent, which has always been a priority for me. That for sure has been the biggest struggle. But there's also benefits to being a DJ and a mom, because I'm my own business. So I can pick my schedule. I can say no to things. And so there's a definite silver lining to it also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely one of the bonuses for me too, is that, I might have worked, worked, I don't know, 50 days out of 354 days, and I made enough money to pay the mortgage for a year. So that's a huge win, and then,
Yeah, time away, the time, what you make for the time away is, it's I said, it's a dream come true for me, truly, really, really. And it eliminated all of the stuff I saw in the entertainment industry that I couldn't, energy wise, I couldn't tap into that. I'm thankful that I can separate myself from that. It can't touch me. I go in my little bubble and I'm not privy to any of the pressure. So I like that part too.
Yeah, for sure. So, what have you been doing to stay busy, with your DJ business during COVID?
Well, quite frankly, the kids thing has become a pretty big priority right now, right? They're home all the time. They're not in school. My husband got transferred, so I'm by myself. So, I'm kind of thankful that the DJing has slowed down, because I'm not pulled so much, because I can't. But these kind of things. So the conversation with you today, or, we met on that QSC Live Play Out Loud series. So those kind of things have, I think, kept me a little bit relevant in the DJ life, because at least I get to talk about my experience and hopefully help or inspire other people to pursue their passions, because it will work out. And then I did my first live stream a couple weeks ago. That was a process. That took me a long time. I was a nervous person about that, because technology and me are not friends. And so it was overwhelming to me. And when I get overwhelmed, I get a little bit frozen. So, but it was interesting, and it was for a good cause, which is what pushed me to do it. So I'm thankful for that. It was for the American Cancer Society. And that was actually kind of cool. It was kind of cool to be exposed to this whole entire different world of online communities that existed that I had no idea are even out there. And then chiming into other DJ streams, because we're all at home and live streaming, I'm able to watch all these DJs that I love and follow. And it looks, they're building communities as well. So I'm networking with way more DJs than I ever did. Before COVID, I gigged, but I didn't network with any DJs. I was gigging, and then I was at home with my kids. Mm-hmm. So this time has really allowed me to get to know other DJs, and for them to get to know me and start to actually introduce myself to the DJ community. And I think that's actually really important. It's something that I've desired and just never had or made the time to do. So I think that's been a really important step for me. And it's been wonderful to get to know other DJs and like-minded people, like we were talking about, that have similar interests or similar problems or similar experiences. It feels great to actually talk to those people and see that I'm not alone in some of the things I've gone through, or celebrate the things that, it's been really cool in that respect.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I really truly believe your network is your net worth. A lot of my business's success, I have a couple businesses, have been because of my support group, my community, the people that, I surround myself with, and then the people I meet online. I have networked with more people than I've ever networked with.
Yeah, ever.
And internationally, that's been super cool. Like, I know when I'm ready for the world tour, like, I've got connects all over.
There you go, girl. Yeah, it's awesome. It really has brought us together as a global community of professionals, and that's a huge win.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
absolutely.
For
Is
sure.
there anything else you want to share with the audience today before we wrap it up?
Oh my gosh. Goodness, I don't know. Music is life and love, so keep playing music because that will make your day brighter. You can catch me on IG or on Facebook, at DJ Bselecta is my thing. I'm on SoundCloud. I try and share my music with everybody when I can. I think that it's important to honor creatives and make sure that we fight to keep it in education, if I can put my little plug in that, because with all of this, it gets really lost. But there's some really cool schools out there that cater to creatives, that teach them how not only to do their craft, but how to turn that into a life that is can give you some sustainable income. And I'm just happy to be here with you. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to introduce myself to your community. I'm honored to be here.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for being a part of it. And I love what you just shared about keeping it in the schools. And like, I actually today just offered my son's teacher to, do some little DJing, little mini dance party for them. They earned their marble party. They got all the marbles in the jar.
I thought about doing the same thing. I was going to offer the school, like, hey, for gym class, I'll just do a live stream and we can dance for 30 minutes, and get the kids. But yeah, the creativity gets slowly fizzled out and the arts get slowly fizzled out. And we have to focus on like math and science and social. But there's so much information out there that really promotes that the arts are super important for especially the young ones to be exposed to. And so I'm a huge proponent of people really pushing to make sure that the arts are valued just as much as the rest, because they matter. And if anything, look at now, like, where do you find your solace? And music is so many things, and healing's one of them. So I really, really hope we can keep pushing for art and music to be forefront in learning.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone reached out to me and wanted me to do like more regular community dances online for the kids. So that reminds me, I get to follow up with her. And,
good. I'm glad I can help.
yeah, I'm gonna add it to the list of people I need to call today.
Totally fair.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being on the show, and thanks everyone for tuning in, and stay tuned for more amazing episodes. I wanted to thank everybody for tuning into the Royal Queens Rising podcast. All of my amazing guests and all of the subscribers, thank you so much for being a part of this. If you would like to be a guest or you know somebody that should be featured, please send them my way. You can reach me on my website, www.djrundat.com.